great players arriving at that time. Gary Lineker, when he arrived, 32 years of age, but still one of the best around, a goal scorer without comparison. 80 goals in 138 games. At that age, in a highly competitive league, absolutely incredible. And I know his arrival had an effect on you as well, and you learned great deals of that. But he didn't like the cross country, did he?
No. He was the most single-minded footballer that you're ever going to see, because he was just obsessed with scoring goals. So everything he did was obsessed with scoring goals. And you could just tell that if he thought it wasn't going to help him score a goal, then he wasn't interested. So if we did like running in training, he would just jog around, just blatantly jog around, like barely even getting a sweat on. But he was so good that no one could really say anything. And then we used to do this run around a park, and in the middle of the park with these bunch of trees, and you had to go round like twice or three times. And so what he would do is, on the first lap, he'd stop in the trees, then just sort of walk to the other side of the trees and just wait there for everyone to do the next lap or two, and then come running out with everyone on the last little finale. And all the coaches, I'm sure they must have known, but all the coaches, because it's Gary Lineker and he's scoring 20 plus goals, and like you say, that goal score record, and they would just, as he's running in, they just go, "Oh, brilliant, Gary, fantastic, wow, what a great example you are." And we're all running round, just absolutely hanging, sweat dripping off us, and we know he's just jogged out of the trees. So yeah, but that's why he was what he was, because he was so focused on just scoring goals. So, but it was funny.
Working with Terry Venables, great strengths, man management. Everybody, I think, has realised that down the years. Brings in players that maybe others wouldn't have touched, players with maybe difficult characters and personalities to deal with. I mean, obviously Gazza, but Paul Walsh, Pat Van Den Hauwe from Everton, Razor Ruddock, and just nurtured this talent. Paul Walsh, I know you say, was a bit unlucky he didn't get the breaks. Pat Van Den Hauwe, Mr. Mad. One star I couldn't believe in here. He used to file down the metal studs on his boots.
Yeah, he had two pairs. So he'd have a pair that he would put on when the referees came into the changing room to check everybody's boots before the game, and they'd have another pair that was hidden away in the kit room that the kit man would then go and get and bring in for him to put on to play in. And they were filed down. But before the game as well, he was someone who, we would try and hang around the changing rooms to see glimpses of the other teams and see what was going on. And he, before the game, would have a look on his face as he walked out. He was so just, if you played against him, you'd probably look at him in the first 5 minutes and think, yeah, not today. I think I'm just going to stay out of his way today.
But Venables impressed you?
Yeah, hugely. I've never seen anything really quite like him. He was one of those people who, if he walked into a room, all eyes were on him. He had a certain kind of gravitas to him that he just had an aura that, the people looked at him and was kind of, oh, okay. Even, like the big names at the club, you see players now who seem to have no respect for some of their managers and some of the things they do, but everybody had complete respect for him, and his coaching was just second to none, absolutely second to none. The things he would spot and his level of detail was just incredible. He used to. So he'd be coaching the first team, and he would just say little things to me, just in passing, and I'd think, I can't believe you spotted that. This is just I was training. He'd be so spot on with the things he said, and it makes such a difference to your game. And yet he wasn't really even. I was just there as an extra. He was concentrating on the first team, but he would sort out problems in my game while doing something else.
Spurs were in a bit of trouble, weren't they? I remember a lot about this. Nat Solomon in to sort it out. They then do the deal to sell Gascoigne to Lazio. There's the injury. Originally it was $8.5 million, was going to clear the debts. Venables and Sugar getting together, putting the money in. Peter Shreve's coming in as coach. A lot of change, a lot of upheaval at the club. But this is the time when your relationship began to shine with Gascoigne, as you were both in rehab.
Yeah. He was obviously he was it was this is after the '90 World Cup and the season he had to get them to the cup final. He was probably one of the most famous footballers in the country, and I turned up we had to come back early for pre-season, so it was just me, him, and John Sheridan, the physio, and I was nervous. You can imagine I'm still only 18 probably at that time, and here I am walking into a room with just me and Paul Gascoigne, and from the minute I walked in, he treated me like I was an equal, an absolute equal. Everything that we did through our rehab, he just treated me and made sure the club treated me as an absolute equal, and he took a real interest in not just himself getting back fit. He was took a real interest in me getting back to my full fitness, and I think if he hadn't been there with me, my rehab would have been a completely different story. But because
I'm sure
yeah,
you wouldn't have been drinking so much Sol with a bit of lime in the top and playing so much snooker.
Yeah, my game wouldn't have been as good. My snooker game and pool game wouldn't have been anywhere near as good, definitely, if it wasn't for meeting him.
Did you enjoy the day out with the quad bikes and the shotguns?
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surreal. The whole time with him was surreal. It was kind of, I had to pinch myself like, is this really me? And I had to try and keep myself on a level thing of not getting too carried away with all of this, because it was this amazing. I'm spending time with Paul Gascoigne, who was like a hero of mine, and we're doing all these ridiculously silly things and funny things and crazy things. But I'm still, I want to be a footballer still. Still, that's still the reason I'm here, is I want to be a footballer. But it's very difficult to kind of push any of that aside. So, say, oh, should we go and do this? And a bit of me thinks, well, I don't know, should we do that? And then I'm thinking, oh my God, but I so want to do that. I so want to spend the day with you on a quad bike and driving around a farm and shooting at scarecrows and things. Who wouldn't want to do that with Paul Gascoigne? It's the kind of stuff
It's like, it sounds like a corporate day out that now, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, exactly.
But he ended up the worse for wear, though, didn't he? Because he came off.
Well, yeah, and that was like the first of a few sort of scary moments, because he didn't really think of consequences, I would say. He wasn't a consequences sort of person. He was a kind of, let's dive in and then, oh, now what do I do kind of a person. So on that one in particular, we were sort of racing for a gate, and I was ahead and I was going to be the one going through the gate, and rather than him put on the brakes, he just kept going. So in the end, we kind of collided at this gate, and he went absolutely flying over the top of the quad bike. The quad bike's still moving. He's kind of landed half in a bush, half on the path, and at first I've sort of gone to laugh, and then it's just struck me that, well, hold on, this is Paul Gascoigne, and he's got a very serious injury he's just getting over. So now I'm panicking, and his knee had a little bit of a cut on it, and so again, it was one of those that we went back in training the next day with John Sheridan, and it was just fingers crossed that he hadn't done any more damage.
Now, there are stories, and everybody has heard a Gazza story over the years. Everybody has got one to tell. I hadn't heard the one about the pay. Is this real? His first pay packet at Newcastle United, he goes to check his balance at the bank, has a look what's in there, goes off on a spending spree, comes back to check the balance again, and it appears to have grown every time he goes back. Yep. Is this because he doesn't realise he's basically going overdrawn by more money?
I'm pretty sure it's real, because he had quite a lot of these stories where he was kind of almost the victim of the stories. And, put it this way, every day I spent with him was a story. Like I'd meet up with my friends back where I was sort of living at the time, and every day they would say, oh, what was it today? And every day I would have to them the most hilarious story that I could tell them, and that was every single day, because every single day he did either something funny or stupid or outrageous, or there was never a day where he would just turn up and then go home and you'd think, oh, he didn't do anything today. It just never happened.